actuaries versus data scientists. Before going to this topic, you probably see the wordings on the screen now. Does it resemblance on what you experience? When people come to, I work in a KPMG, and when I go to different parts of business, start working with them, what happens is that I don't normally tell them that I'm an actuary. I start telling them what I can do. But then when I start telling them what I can do, then they say that, oh yeah, which part of business are you from? And then I start explaining, oh, I'm from the actuary department. Oh, you're an actuary. I say, yes. Does actuary does that too? I say, yes, we do a lot of things. So how do others perceive us compared to data scientists? And let me make it clear here, I'm not drawing a line between actuary and data scientists. There's no war between us. But the perception that we have given to other people is that actuary are more focused on insurance industry specifically. Sometimes they don't even know that we are active in banking. I think super is pretty good. And when they talk about actuaries, they tend to say that, well, you are looking into insurance, you are focusing on risk. What about data scientists then? Often if they say that, oh, I want customer segmentation insights, I want to do white space modeling, I want to do GBM, I'm going to go for a data scientist. I said, well, you know what? We can do that too. So this is my main date, and that's been something that I have been experimenting since about 7 years ago. So like many of you, I started my career in insurance markets. I do have 10 years of work, experience in insurance. And 10 years later, I decided to venture out. And then that's when I started my career at Caltex. So today, I'm not going to talk too much about the technical details, but I want to show some case study because I want to show you that it's possible that you can do that too. I strongly believe that actuaries need to broadcast our capabilities. Actuaries are typically very introverted person, and I'm an introverted person. So we're not very good in telling people how good we are, but we need to tell people that we can do more things. We need to tell other people that we have the analytical skill set and a logical mindset to help solve complex problems. We are trained to look at many things that's happened while you're making a decision, not just data. That's the value that we bring to the table. So next, I'm going to start show you some examples that I've done before. Later on during the Q&A session, if you want to know more details about each of the case studies, feel free to ask about that. So one of the things I've done at Caltex was that my team helped 600 petrol sites of Caltex to segment them and then to optimize the price. So you might think that, well, pricing, you just try to rip off people. No, that's not the concept of value-based pricing. Value-based pricing then is to price according to the value placed. Someone might place more value on time. Therefore, yeah, they're happy to pay more because it's convenient for them. Some people are more price sensitive. They will drive 3 petrol stations before they will put their pump in. That's fine. But to capture that will help the organization or your company or your client to optimize the performance. We also then did an analysis called pocket margin analysis. It sounds fancy, but really it is not. What I did really is just to deep dive into transactional data and then merge with the operating model, understand how the business connect with the data, and then understand where the margins are coming from. But I understand where the margins coming from, then we could then recommend to the business and say that, hey, you have leakages here. You have opportunity to improve your profit there. So what I learned from this is then that a lot of things I do that, I learned it from my degree in uni, I learned it from my exams. So things I learned from modeling, things I learned from data, how to manipulate data, how to explain my insights. I learned it from my actual training. The other thing that's interesting is MBN. I think most of us here have a hate-love relationship with MBN, including myself. Please don't tell my client about that. So my team has helped MBN to develop a dynamic scenario analysis model. What it does is then we have helped MBN to predict the demand movement from the retail service provider, basically Telstra, Optus, and based on like the end customer survey and insights. So then the C-suite will then use that model, then quickly predict, and then run different scenarios to say what are the price that you need to put into the market. Then you say, well, how is that a actual work? How is that a data analytic? To me, data analytic is if you can use data to help business answer difficult questions, help them to defend a business case, or help them to justify the direction they want to go. So we successfully helped that. And interestingly, my client initially have 2 actuaries on the team working on this project. Eventually, we finished with 4. And when we finished the project, they said that, oh, I would like to hire someone. Do you know any actuary who wants to work in telco? So actually do add a lot of value. The other example that I can show you now, I'm going to pause a little. You can guess what type of client that I was helping. So if it is an FMCG client, and they actually sell products that pretty much in most people pantries, and if you have kids, a lot of time they will have in your kids' lunchbox. So this client of mine was actually running at risk of impairment if we do not help them to identify areas to improve their business or help them to know where to cut the costs. So again, by deep dive into the transactional data, we understand the cost to serve of their model, understand how they can change their pricing, understand how their sales team has been giving out manual rebates without aligning with their strategy. We have helped the business turn around. So now this business is no longer at the risk of impairment. I hope to continue to see their product on the shelf. So I talk a lot about deep dive into data, building scenario analysis model. What about Monte Carlo simulation model? So since I started work, 17 years now, I only had the opportunity to build 3 Monte Carlo simulation model. And I consider myself lucky, because every time I build model like this, I'm having fun. Like just to try to think about, okay, what statistical model I want to put behind? What simulation I can run, and then the wow impact when the user sees that, wow, this is the distribution of the risk. This is the distribution of the traffic that I'm seeing. So I think that's part of the benefit to venture outside of the financial sector, because no one question is unique, and then you got to sort of come up with the solution yourself. So this client actually did not want any Monte Carlo simulation model. They actually don't know what is it. They just want a simple scenario analysis model in Excel that can just drop down and pick a different key factors and see what the numbers are. But when we brought this concept to them, they like it because it showed them the range, the volatility of the outcome. And this is a client that, as you can see, is related to infrastructure. And the model is help them to evaluate a multi-million bids, and they won the bids. So I think Francis just now talked about actuaries' roles in data analytic. My husband is in IT, and I think nowadays data analytic or data scientist is almost like IT in 20 years ago or 30 years ago. If you tell people, they say that I work in IT, what does that mean? It means nothing. Because IT has program manager, IT has project manager, has data developer, architect, and many other titles that I don't know. Just like in the analytics space, actually roles in optimizing data, return on investment, this topic, we can play many roles, and you can choose the role you want to play. So I've chosen the role to become more like a strategic analytics specialist, helping customers to craft solution. But you can also choose to become someone who specializes in visualization, or become data engineer, or like data scientist who's more focused on the technical modeling. I really recommend that you go and have a look at the different type of roles that's possible within the analytics space, and be comfortable with the thing that, well, what's my strength, or what do I like to do? And then identify the trainings that you need in order to get to where you want to be. And I think the last thing that I want to say when I close up my presentation is then that I think sky's the limit. One of the things that I've been trying to do, been having lots of fun with, is that I keep counting on how many new sectors I can penetrate. And I do it, one of the reasons, because I want to prove that actuaries can do that. The other thing is also because I find that when I work with other industry or other profession, I learn a lot from them. So I don't just work in non-financial sector. So I also have financial client. But now the difference I make is that I can take the learning that I have from Caltex, from NBN, from all the other sectors, and apply to my financial services client as well. Good. That's all. Thank you.